Welcome to the Salt Circle Podcast. My name's Hank. With me, as always, is Ben.
Yeah, I am.
Cool. Hey, how's it going?
It's going, you know. It's it's a Tuesday.
It's true.
I don't know why we do this on Tuesday, because Tuesdays are like my least favorite day of the week.
I mean,
except for this podcast.
Because why not? Why not?
So
I mean, today I feel like I feel terrible. So
that's the spirit.
That's just a coincidence.
So I never really thought that I would be on here talking about a webcomic again, or that but here we are.
Here we are. This is we're talking about Dumbing of Age this week, which is one of my favorite webcomics. One of my favorites.
Yeah, that you were holding out on, apparently. Never told me.
I mean, I think I mentioned it
Probably
during our questionable contact.
Probably did.
Because, it's one I've been reading it for a long time, and there have been good jokes between the two writers of those comics.
Mm.
They're good at
How
making fun of each other.
How long? Like when would you say you
Dumbing of Age? I've read Dumbing of Age since it started.
Okay, so 2010 straight up.
Yeah, because I was reading
God damn.
I started with David Willis created it. His a different webcomic. I started with Short Pact, which he made before Dumbing of Age.
Okay.
Which is part of the interesting thing about Dumbing of Age is that it was like a reboot of
Yeah.
where he was kind of took a bunch of other characters he had already created but had like aliens and supernatural science fiction stuff, and then he was kind of created a new comic book where instead all the characters were in college, and he got rid of all the supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
Except for there also being like one superhero character. But other than that, just because sometimes you needed to draw
a cape,
a character punching other people. It's
Yeah.
basically the main thing.
Yeah, I noticed like in the first strip, like people were talking about how it's like just what the comments were saying. I'm like, okay, there's something else, but I'm not going to dive into that because I was too busy binging.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
I mean, yeah, I'm actually kind of glad that you've been reading it like that long, just because I obviously haven't. Like as I told Hank just before this, I binged 8 years of a webcomic in 2 days, so
Yes.
it's probably not super healthy, but there you go. And also just the fact that because they're in university, I think that perception changes whether you're not there yet, currently attending, or past university. So that's interesting as well. It's real good though. It's
Yeah, totally.
even like there's a couple like nitpicks, but that character development, I don't even care. The character development's too good. It's good stuff. It's what I hoped it would be.
Yeah. No, it's and like as having read his stuff Willis has written for a long time, like it's definitely his work definitely got better the longer he's worked, so
Sure.
So it's definitely been
So I
an
guess,
interesting thing.
yeah, the brief recap. Not, I mean, we've kind of already summed it up. Like, there's a bunch of characters going to university is essentially the plot. I would say the main character is like solidly Joyce, right? Like,
Yeah.
maybe not solidly, but she's a little above.
Yeah, like for there are times when someone else will be like kind of the focus for a while, but
Yeah, there's arcs, but
yeah.
Joyce is kind of the main character as far as having a main character goes, and her deal is that she comes from a super religious family, like not quite a cult, but the whole homeschool, like super Christian, no swearing, has a lot of false ideas, 100% creationist, and so on.
Yeah.
And she's been allowed to go to a public university. And yeah, that's a thing.
Then, slowly starts learning things
The world,
about the
people.
world and actually what it be like, how fucked up some of the things she's believed in are.
Yeah. And they tackle quite a few like university tropes, like
Yeah.
that high school couple that breaks up like as they go into college or after like the first day or whatever. Guy gets I suppose it's more common for it to be a guitar, but one guy gets a ukulele and he's like ukulele guy for a while.
Yeah, man.
University stuff. If he was on a unicycle or a longboard, it'd be 100% there.
Yeah.
I think my only real, and I kind of go back and forth on this because I was thinking about it this whole time and I can't think of a better way based on like what the comic actually is, but there has been 8 years of this webcomic and it's been 6 weeks in the comic.
Yeah, like
And
it's a comic's been running for a long time, but really the amount of like story time that has passed over that time is like not actually that much.
yeah, and
But
that's
still a lot's happened.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that's totally fine, but these people are flying through drama. Whoa. Like, there's just, I'm like, man, more stuff has happened in 6 weeks of this comic than probably will ever happen to me in my entire life. Like, so many things. And that's and I go back and forth because, part of me is like, okay, this relationship has just flown and it's been like 2 weeks. In real life, this would be like 4 or 5 months deep, maybe 3 on a good day. But at the same time, they're all freshmen, obviously, and I think that's important. Like, you don't want to, like, if you do a real, like, quote unquote timeline, then you're messing stuff up a bit. Like, they're not, I don't know. I don't know how else to handle it because I don't think trying to drag it out would be better, or they'd be like,
Yeah.
I don't know, juniors already.
Totally.
But that was the only thing, like, ooh.
Yeah, it's also just like an interesting thing because like he started writing comics in like 2002,
Okay.
and when he started with writing about characters in college, and like by 2009 it's kind of like he was writing about them, and like the characters are like married and like adults before he switches back. Like the last thing he wrote with where Joyce and Walkie was a comic, was like a phase of the comic where it was just like jokes about Joyce and Walkie being married. Like that was the long period of the comic.
Okay.
Kind of like
That's
kind of what it. Yeah, that's a that's
that's
a
a
thing.
thing. Yeah, damn.
And like the last one's like, do you think if we had met in college, we still would have gotten together? And he's like, I hope we never have to find out. It was like his last strip he wrote before he started Dumbing of Age.
Great. That's a good good setup.
Yeah. But also like part of the reason he did it was because he all the like I mean like the political stuff like these the way characters developed was not his view. Like the arc that Joyce has in Dumbing of Age is like based on his real life.
Yeah, I saw that like in the biography section or whatever of his
Yeah.
site.
So that's
I kind of called that too. Like
yeah.
I was reading I'm like, Joyce seems like there's a well of knowledge behind her.
Oh yeah. That so when he wrote so part of the reason like he's wanted to start this over is because when he wrote the original comic and version of the story, like that stuff happened. That was like a gradual realization of him changing his own worldview, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That like happened over the course of years of him figuring stuff out and both becoming a better writer and just like understanding how to be a better person.
Yeah,
a lot of ways
essentially.
too. Like a lot of it was him, even him just writing about characters that in ways that just made him he wasn't comfortable with, and him figuring it out through kind of pushing himself.
Yeah. Like he got to that psychological stage where you want to be better and you recognize that there's improvement or room for improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just writing like writing gay characters was a thing he was not comfortable at first, and then he became more okay writing that kind of character over time.
Yeah.
Basically.
That was actually my my other, and it's not, I don't know. It's again comparing this to like real life is obviously a different thing than like just how the comic is on its own. And maybe and it's not horribly far-fetched, and maybe like there's a lot of parts of this comic that have gotten me questioning like did I just ignore the entire university experience, because that's a possibility. Like there are things going on and I'm like, I'll admit that my own unawareness of what is actually happening at any of the schools I've attended it's pretty high. Like I don't really care. I'm the person who goes to class. I will make semester buddies that I will never talk to after the class is done, and I come home. Like that's my shtick. And it's not like there's a lot of not only like problems, but I don't know, the amount of LGBT students in the comic just seems highly concentrated.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. Now that you've explained like how he wrote those characters and like got over it and stuff, I don't know. It almost seems like he's overcompensating a bit. I don't know. Just like it seems like you throw a rock and someone decides they like the same. Like not decides, of course, but it turns out.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely got to a point just where he preferred actually writing kind of characters like that.
And that's fair enough.
I would say, like, and the other comic that he wrote the longest was this comic Short Pact, which was so the main characters in that like originally were Amber, Ethan, and Mike was in it, but also Robin DeSanto, senator who's in Dumbing of Age.
Yeah.
Those
Okay.
were like the main characters, and like her role in Shortback is very different. But that that just started as a comic explicitly just about characters who worked at a Toys R Us type store, and
Yeah.
it was like he's super into collecting like Transformers toys and like Batman stuff. Like I started reading, that was the first thing I started reading, and it was because of a Batman joke that I found funny. That was one of his comics.
Nice.
But like, and over time he was like just decided there's like a meta thing of Robin pulling the drama tag, and then suddenly like the comic developed a plot that it didn't have originally and became a thing.
Okay.
Like it was like and like the big one was like a long arc about Ethan realizing he was gay. Like that was a big part of it.
Gotcha. Yeah,
That was kind of like the first reveal like that then led to Robin meeting Leslie, who's then the gender studies teacher in Dumbing of Age.
Yeah.
She kind of eventually became like the main character of Short Pact, basically.
Oh. Okay.
She went from like being a side character to kind of becoming the focus by the end of that comic ending. But also that comic ends with like, oh no, it's the diversity is too much, and then the universe breaks and they're like Sagi's like monsters ending the world. It's weird. It just makes it. It's just a weird joke at the end.
Mm.
And now he just does like every year on April Fool's Day he'll do a like one Short Pact thing, but that's of that universe being broken.
Yeah. So you've been reading a while. You could
Yes.
say. You got any favorite characters? Do any one or multiple like stand out to you?
I mean, I kind of like all the characters, so I don't
All right.
like there was a time when I like Mike was my favorite.
All right. Yeah, I can
But-
see that.
but
For
but
those
that's
not
less-
to know, Mike is an asshole, so this makes perfect sense.
He's a complete asshole, and also he was like just like would make your mom jokes all the time. He used to, and he's like, it's funny. He's like one of the first characters, the oldest characters that like Willis created, like actually when he was a kid, were Mike and what was its name? Fuck, I can't remember her name now.
Amber,
Carla,
Carla.
who was
Okay.
actually originally just a talking car,
Oh no.
and then in Short Pact got like a humanoid body, and then in Dumbing of Age is like he made her just trans, like an actual person,
Yeah.
instead of
Instead
a
of
male car who was a superhero who then became like a humanoid girl who was still a robot.
Great. That's
What she
that's
was in.
wild, dude. Like not knowing any of this background and then just
Yeah,
okay.
no.
Jesus.
That's a thing that happened. Yeah.
I've just been like with Amber and that whole thing.
Yeah.
I suppose we're just doing spoilers. I'm gonna do spoilers. I don't really.
Okay.
I guess, yeah. So spoiler warning. And I guess if you don't plan on reading the webcomic but are still listening for some reason, Amber is the superhero, which is
Yes.
pretty obvious unless you are one of the characters in the comic. And like two totally different people. And eventually you find out that I don't want to label it wrong. It's not bipolar. It'd be like multiple personality sort of thing. Like
Yeah, basically.
she's using her superhero persona to cope with some childhood trauma. And
Yeah.
I'd say at a certain point, like, yeah, they start it kind of develops where it's not even using this to cope. It's like two separate entities after they after a certain point it definitely separates into that.
Yeah.
I kind of really dislike her. just because, well, I mean, it's not only her fault. I kind of dislike how a lot of her supposed friends interact with her. Like, why has nobody told her to, like, maybe see a therapist? Like, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff. I'd say possibly more than anyone else in the comic. And
Yeah.
she's just like, and everybody, like, for her, of course, like, that makes sense. But for everybody else, like, okay, you moonlight as a superhero and you've almost died a couple times. Like, that's fine. You're dealing with your stuff. I get it. Like, no, you're a shitty friend, except for Sal. She got it. She's the only one.
Yeah.
So I just I hope she's fine, obviously, but just
I mean, yeah, she's definitely that's a long-term arc that's gonna play out.
someday.
She
Yeah.
definitely is. And part of the thing with her character is like over the years with he's had other characters have anger issues in like ways that he didn't even think about at the time until afterwards. And so when he with Dumbing of Age, it kind of just all of that kind of stuff, a lot of that he just went with putting it on Amber,
Gotcha.
of characters having that kind of dark anger, like hidden anger kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of she's kind of bearing the weight of stuff that a split between other characters before. And like definitely I have more affection for that character just because I think her arc in the previous comics was different and had a different flavor to it that I probably have more affection for that idea of that character from that than I do in Dumbing of Age, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, she ends up marrying, but she also ends up marrying Mike in Short Pact.
That's weird. That's Mike with anyone is just weird.
Yeah, no. But yeah, that's a thing. She has issues,
Yeah.
deep
Yeah.
fucked up issues.
And also how, I mean, I feel like every paternal figure in the comic is just a dick. Except Joyce's dad, pretty much. Like, he's the exception.
Yeah.
But I forget. I feel like it was definitely one of the more recent arcs, like where Amber's stepbrother comes to visit, and there's like a little bit where he's bumming around. Then he like gets into the car, and like you find out that her stepmom is also a dick, and then her dad's there like being a supervillain essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, he was already very much established as being
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
a
but just like
supervillain.
that return, like dude got his ass kicked once and he's back for more.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I remember the other bit with Amber that I was like, wait, what? She like stabbed people or that dude,
Yes.
and apparently nothing. Oh no, they said it was like self-defense or something. I don't know, dude. Like, why can't I think of her name? Wait, hold on. Dorothy. Dorothy
Yeah.
had to like go to therapy for it because she saw
Yeah.
it, but like Amber doesn't, or like Dorothy doesn't think Amber needs to do anything. And also, if I just feel like Dorothy is responsible, and maybe being responsible is telling the police that the stabbing wasn't necessarily in self-defense. I don't know, just more. It's more of the same, really, but like that in particular is probably the biggest point. Like, it's not okay, dude. It's not okay.
It was a thing. I like, and that's just another thing that feels like it hasn't been properly resolved yet.
Oh yeah,
For
100%. Like
sure. So
it's definitely like that's the I think I agree. Like that is one of the
yeah.
arcs that's like spanning the entire thing. But that's good. Like character development is good. I hate that everyone else thinks it's okay. Is the thing.
Well, the people who didn't see it
Yeah.
are like
Yeah.
okay with it. I mean, the dude she stabbed is a piece of garbage.
Yeah. I mean,
Ready to rape people. So
I'm not debating that at all.
yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, he's
It's like weird. It's that gray area of of the law.
yeah. So one of Willis's biggest regrets of his original comic stuff was that he killed off Dina
What
in
the
his original
fuck?
story. It was bad. Yeah.
Of all the people,
Yeah.
literally anyone else. Actually, literally anyone else.
It's also a character it's
The
another
best.
character that's like him a lot in terms of being antisocial.
Yeah.
He's based a lot of it on himself, and the way he's looked back on it was he killed that character as like a way of like not admitting his own flaws and own anxiety.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Like it was like a huge regret he had, and like one of the things at the end of Short Pact with the universe breaking is like Dina suddenly showing up for some was definitely not something he was thrilled he did.
yeah.
And like a thing he didn't really like revisiting. So yeah. That's a thing that happened.
That's so.
But
I mean, it makes sense, but it's Dina though.
yeah.
She's great.
Yeah, no.
She's like the Hannah-Lore of the comic. Or Hannah-Lore is the Dina of questionable content, rather.
Just like she has that. She's inherently likable despite being like completely not social.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they're not mutually exclusive.
yeah.
Like,
Totally.
it'd be different if she was like refusing to be social. But instead
Yeah,
she's like she learns, or she wants to
Yeah,
learn.
no,
right?
she's totally open to that stuff. She just doesn't know what to do in a lot of cases. She learns a lot.
Also the fact that she eats cereal like constantly for meals. I can get behind that. That's I feel that emotion. I'm going to call it an emotion cuz it is. I want cereal for dinner. Yeah, that was another like I don't know, when she like called and told her parents that she had a girlfriend. That was great because I don't know, I was expecting like more supervillain parents. And instead they're like, "Cool. Here's $200. Have a nice lunch."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, thank God." I don't know if I could handle more supervillain parents.
Yeah, no. I mean, there really aren't. Uh,
They're not all parents,
there's
but like
yeah.
Becky's dad, Ruth's grandpa, Amber's family, Joyce's
Well,
mom.
yeah.
There's a
They're
lot.
definitely yeah. They're not no.
Ethan's parents.
Yeah. They're not great. But
In
you know,
in previous comics, do you ever see Mike's parents that you can
I
remember?
don't. Not that I remember.
I want them to
Not.
show up and just be the nicest, sweetest people that you could ever meet.
That might have happened.
And
I
then
can't.
Mike's just a
again.
dick.
So, I mean, one of the funny things about Mike is when he's drunk, he's super nice.
Okay.
He like
that
completely
sounds,
changes
yeah.
who he is when he's drunk. Also, he dies at one point, but then just suddenly comes back in Short Pact with like no explanation. So that's a thing that happened.
Okay. Right on.
Walkie
Reincarnation.
beats him to death. Is it bad? After Dina died, it's not great.
Oh
It's
my
not-
god.
it's not a great thing.
It just sounds so off the rails compared to this comic.
Oh, totally. And I
Like,
mean,
just
and that's a thing. I
fucking-
mean, that's a thing he wrote. I think before I even started reading his stuff. Like that's like me going back and seeing this stuff. And that comic, it's like at a certain point it becomes readable, and I can't go all like it definitely is not readable earlier than a certain point. And part of it isn't even like the start of the part where like the characters have been abducted by aliens and have superpowers is like also he rewrote a big chunk of the beginning of it at some point, like redid it and redrew it.
Yeah.
And that I found much more readable, and then it like changes back to the original stuff and then it's not readable. So it's definitely a thing. Also, he's been once Short Pact ended, he started a new website that was like airing all his comics in a row from the beginning, but with him giving a little commentary on them about how bad the comics are generally. Like him criticizing his own stuff as he goes through it. So that's been interesting. You're just going, yeesh, man. Regrets. But it's part of him learning as a writer or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Getting better.
I mean, and I was gonna say like, go back to early questionable content. That art style is rough.
Yep.
It's rough to watch.
It's definitely a thing with webcomics is like people start, particularly like long running ones, like it gets better as they go along because they do more of it.
Unless you're I think I mentioned it in the questionable content one,
Yeah, there are
Sinfest?
exceptions. There are
Sinfest did
comics.
like a low key loss. That's what they did. Like
Yeah.
one day the comic was fine, and the next day it was 100% like Nazi grade feminism, like kill men, and it didn't stop. It was not a one-off. They just kept going.
Yeah,
So that was the thing.
it's true.
Also, Joe is real great.
Yeah, Joe is
like
one
her.
of. Yeah, like I think the original comic he started writing about characters in college, like Joe and Danny, were kind of the main characters
Okay.
originally.
Yeah, just how he's like total womanizer, but also not an ass. I mean, a bit of an ass, but like not a rapey ass.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I was just gonna say something. Totally, it's totally left. Oh yeah, he has his like he has the list or whatever where he ranks like every girl he comes across,
Yeah.
and well, and even before that, like just initially, like when he meets Joyce, he like I forget what he calls her, like an 8 or a 9 or something.
I don't think you get necessarily a
Dude,
rank on her. I think
okay,
that's part
but
of
like
the thing.
she's but like
Until he
finds
ends
her
up ranking her as 0.
0
Because,
minus.
yeah, because she brings Mike along as a chaperone, and then he keeps getting punched.
Yeah, but like he thinks she's hot at the very least,
Yes.
like early on, before that date happened.
Yeah.
That one I like. That one, it was a familiar-ish scenario, not necessarily like dating wise or anything, but there was a girl in one of my classes, and kind of like I doubt Joyce levels, but really, really Christian, like
Yeah.
Bible study services like 4 days a week, like just all this stuff. And it's spring semester, so then it gets warm out and she's like just wears like spring or summer clothes, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is surprising. I'm like, that's what happened with Joyce. I've experienced this. Except I didn't do the thing where I'm like, oh, I'll break her of her beliefs and try to sleep with her. That wasn't really something that crossed my mind.
Yeah,
But-
no. Yeah. Like, she's definitely one where I think her arc is very good and well, like it's just a
Yeah.
really
How
well
she's
thought out thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was like, I feel like this is some personal experience because,
Yeah.
like, it's happening, I guess, as it should. Like, her first encounter with Dina, it's not like, oh, okay, I believe in evolution now. Like, she's resisting things properly before, like, accepting them
Yeah.
and not accepting others, and
And trying to
It's
find
nice.
ways to like
explain it. Or
yeah, to
counter
explain it. Yeah, to like just take enough of the change but try to stick with what she already believes like.
Mm-hmm.
And then that doesn't work. So other things come up like yeah.
Yeah. Which
Just like-
it's nice.
Also,
Also, how pissed Dina gets, like just won't talk to her.
yeah, no, just some things. Nope, there are lines. Look, dinosaurs are very important
Yeah.
to Dina.
I was also I was really surprised with like the initial arc with Ruth and Billy. Like I don't know, that I wouldn't say anything like that is like I wouldn't call it hitting close to home, but like there's been some secondhand stuff that like worse scenarios like that. Like when Billy's like running to her door and I'm like, are we gonna find Ruth like hanging from the ceiling? Like, is this going to be a thing? Like that actually happened to someone I know. And I think everyone lived in the end, but like that was a thing. And I was surprised that he even went as far as he did, really. Even though it wasn't quite to that extent. But
Yeah, Ruth is a character who also died in his original comic.
so many deaths. So many deaths.
I mean, she died before I think that comic was anywhere near being any good. And yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah. I think I don't know, Ruth is another one where well, I guess Ruth and Billy, like that whole bit, I was like, you guys need to like this isn't good. two suicidal alcoholics in a relationship doesn't cancel out. This isn't a chemistry equation.
Nope.
Like
It's
it worked out.
it except, you know,
Mostly kind of worked out.
it's like it was better, but it's still kind of fucked up.
Oh,
Particularly
oh,
Billy.
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Now, but yeah. Um, did you see any of the the porn Willis made about his own characters?
I saw that it exists and I was going to comment on that. Yeah, I've not
Yeah.
seen any of it.
You know,
Mostly
basically
because I
there are
haven't
points
looked
in the
hard enough.
story where characters have sex, and with Dumbing of Age, he decided to push himself to actually draw those characters having sex, and then made it part of Slipshine and behind a paywall of
Yeah, yeah.
drawing porn.
That's mostly
Also,
why I
he
haven't
had a
seen it.
fun time calling himself a porn lord at the time when he did that.
Great.
He found that he was definitely clearly abused by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah, that's
definitely,
one of the comics mentioned it, and I was promised 4 preview pages, which weren't there any longer. So, you know.
yeah. Yeah, I saw those preview pages because those were like story up to before the actual stuff, which I didn't really have. I didn't feel like paying for, but I just find it funny that he did that.
I'm not. Oh no, it's like it's great. Just 'cause, like, meanwhile, is it? I forget his first name for questionable content.
Jeff Jax.
Is it just Jeff? Okay. Yeah. Thought it was something else. I don't know why. Anyway, isn't he like real anti porn of his characters?
Well, I mean, it was just like giving the name of that webcomic, you'd expect more questionable
Yeah.
content, but I don't know. He's drawn them naked. But that like
Yeah, but he
took like a
hasn't
really fucking long time before he started
Yeah.
drawing characters like in bed or whatever.
Yeah, and he doesn't like. It's not like he's showing stuff.
No.
Even
Again,
though
it's
there'd
not
be a
like,
lot
I
to
mean,
show.
Willis isn't showing stuff during the regular comic. It's
No,
literally
no.
created behind a paywall for a different website.
Yeah. But still, like that's
It's just funny.
no, it's it's pretty great. Just the fact that it exists is a thing. There are no robot girls in Dumbing of Age, though, so that's like mildly disappointing. Unless we decide that Carla is still canon, but
Yeah, she's not a robot anymore. He mostly got rid of all the supernatural stuff.
yeah,
Which was based around a lot of the characters having been abducted by aliens and having superpowers. So
like even with like Amber / Amazing Girl, like that's I don't know how. Maybe we haven't seen enough. Maybe it's just like drawing style or something. But I'm like, she doesn't look like she should be able to do those things. So like there's sort of a half canon, like she actually has some superpowers sort of thing. Like she's hulking out almost literally.
yeah,
I
I don't know.
It's-
Like
this
it's
is just me
literally
personally.
it's literally in there because he can't. He just needs to
can't
draw
not do it.
characters punching every
Yeah.
once in a while. He just
I mean-
he needs to draw some action every once in a while.
Yeah.
is really the reason why that's there more than anything.
Which is also pretty funny.
You
I
know?
mean, there's worse reasons to have a fighty character.
Yeah.
Then I'm imagining like a Fight Club scenario. except where she doesn't turn out to be herself the whole time. Oh no, it's already halfway there. Amber via Maze Girl. Oh dear. Who starts the Fight Club, though? Who's the instigator?
I don't know. I don't know.
That'd be like a good poster. Like the end scene of Fight Club, but it's Amber and a Maze Girl. Instead of, what's her name and what's his name?
I don't remember the characters from Fight Club. I don't remember their names.
Wow. Have you even seen Fight Club?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah, I've seen Fight Club.
I
I
didn't.
don't. That movie's okay. I don't love it.
I really liked it just because I wasn't expecting the twist at all. But
Gotcha.
I put it off for. I'm surprised that I didn't learn the twist because I put it off for a very long time. My rule was that if I asked anyone about the movie and they said the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club, I'm like, fine, fuck off. I'm not watching it.
Nice.
And it took probably 10 years. Or what felt like 10 years. I don't actually know if that's possible because I don't remember when it came out.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
I'm not really sure if I like have a ton more to say on Dumbing of Age specifically.
Yeah.
Like in general, I'm just really enjoying. I mean, it also helped that there was 8 fucking years of it to read it at once. Got to really dig in. But the character development is just with every character really is just very nice. Even in the points where, like, I'm not sure if like this should be a thing, but I don't care. It's development. Let's do it.
Yeah, totally.
I kind of want.
And I really liked his I really liked Short Pact when I was reading it too, the previous comic, but that's harder to recommend because it takes longer to figure itself out even.
Yeah.
But like by the end of that comic it's definitely like on par with Dumbing of Age.
Is it like? Is it meant to be like? I'm just like with like the character deaths of like Walkie.
So the character
beating
death stuff
Mike
is
to
all
death. Is
that's
that just
all
like a
that's all prior to Short Pact.
Oh, okay. I was that confused.
Yeah. Like by that time, I think by like when Short Pact's being written, like the most of his superhero story stuff is over, and he's just writing a comic about Joyce and Walkie being married and being married jokes. There's a lot of it.
Okay.
It's a much simpler because he would do like 2 comics at a time for a long time.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
And he wouldn't do one every day of the week. He would do, more of a different schedule, like once, like 3 times a week or something. I don't remember. Ones. Definitely a different schedule. But then he operates. I know he operates now on like a 6-month buffer.
What do you mean?
Like he's drawn like he's made the comics like 6 months in advance.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Like he's sitting on stuff, so he's not like under pressure to get stuff done all the time.
Yeah. Does he ever like go on hiatus or anything?
No, the comic hasn't gone on hiatus. He definitely though built up the buffer because he had kids. So he was like,
I'm gonna need time.
Yes, exactly. I'm gonna need a buffer. That was a thing, but he basically worked it out ahead of time.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a good plan as well.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, the one webcomic I read, Unsounded, the lady who does it takes, like, I think she takes most of spring off, and then, like, comes back in the summer. This year, she, like, or, like, the end of, yeah, like, the end of winter or something, or, like, around starting in February or so. And then she usually comes back, like, May-ish. Apparently this year she changed her website around and stuff, and it broke my RSS feed. So I'm like waiting for it to update. I'm like, Jesus, it's been a while, and there's been like nothing. Like usually she posts something at like the beginning of May, even if it's just like the cover for the new arc, but just nothing. And I check, and there's like almost an entire chapter out. It's been going since like April or something. So that's
great.
That was disappointing, but I get to catch up on that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also like, oh no, there was totally a bunch. Whoops. You can read that. You got all that comic to read now.
Yeah, but it's not 8 years worth.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless I start over, which isn't a terrible idea because she gets really into like it's like, you know, fantasy shit, so she gets really into the world building and like politics and stuff, and
yeah,
all these fantasy words. It's hard to keep them straight. Yeah, Dumbing of Age is good.
Yeah,
People
it's a
should-
good it's a good
check it
webcomic.
out.
I recommend it.
And it hits the ground running, I'd say. Like there's not really a build up period.
I mean, the art certainly gets better, but
Yeah, but it doesn't start out like questionable content where it's glorified stick figures.
yeah. You should look at like one strip of Roomies. Rough. His old style.
What year is that? Is that like 2002?
Yeah.
Let's see. Where can I can I even find this anywhere? Do you have a
Here.
Yeah, do me up. Hit me with it live. Oh dear. Whew. That's Jesus.
Yeah. No.
Not quite as good.
Nope. It's bad. It's frankly bad.
Yeah. No, this is brutal. Also, I'm not a huge fan of grayscale to begin with, but yeah, it's, you know. Oof.
But yeah, I think that's a podcast. You can call it
That seems like a podcast. Maybe not super informative, but I need to get it out.
That's fair. You can email us at saltcirclepodcast@gmail.com, soundcloud.com/saltcircle. Find us on Twitter at saltcirclepod. We're Salt Circle Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, various podcast sources. And I'm on Twitter at Comic Panels.
And I'm on Twitter at bean_LP.